Trbojevic!
Get ready for a Tommy Turbo Masterclass. Tameless Tuesday is here. And the boys are hard as a rock. Don't be a weak-gutted dog. Leave that for Jamin Salmon. Get ready for the best SuperCoach show on the planet. It's so good, it's better than Lego. You're now listening to the SuperCoach Experience Podcast. Here's your host, Brandon Savage.
Woo! Yes! I am pumped. Welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Savage Turbos. Today we are stacked with a full panel of SuperCoach experts. Timmy Moody, the 2021 SuperCoach champion. How are you, mate?
Yeah, fucking not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And I'm also joined by another SuperCoach player who has been in and out of the preseason podcast, but with his own show, actually. Mikey, Coach Trip Jacket Mafia.
Good to be back on. Yep, Trip Jacket Mafia back for another year. And it's great that I could make the TLT podcast because I feel like this is an important one to make as we start our journey the SuperCoach and technically the inner battle of all of us. We're very competitive people.
I think you're the biggest surprise inclusion for TLT.
Yeah, I might be. I don't think a lot of the fans would be expecting to see me on this podcast. It's usually really hard for me to make, but the SuperCoach gods aligned for me to be here today. So although it is a split round, it's a little bit not as exciting, but still excited nonetheless. Let's get into it.
Listen, if you're going to make one podcast this year, then this is the one. Next week will also be the one. We're spoiled for choice this year. We've got two TLTs, like two first TLTs, which absolutely crazy for. And I felt like it was going to be a bit of an anticlimax seeing these team lists. It is to some extent, but there's still a lot of shock inclusions, shock exclusions as well. But firstly, we record our podcast at DM Podcast Studio in Woolloomooloo. I just wanted to give a shout out to them because they've hosted us for so long and they're doing solids for us. So shout out to them.
Cheers, guys.
This Sunday, the games are going to be in Las Vegas, and we're going to be at the non-SuperCoach party hosted by the Daily Telegraph and SuperCoach. There's still tickets available, so if you want to go, the link is in the bio. And Mikey, what's your hot tip for the weekend?
Like as in like results or just like that?
Results off the field.
Like as in the party we're going to? Or,
yes.
Yeah. I don't know. It looks like a lot of podcasters going. I know quite a few that are going. So I don't know. I've got something that I feel like it's all going to center around Tommy T. So, and I think that's going to be the super coaches that are on him and the super coaches that aren't. But I'm excited for it nonetheless.
Such a rugby league answer, isn't it?
Yeah, my prediction will be that at some point Savs will do the back door. We'll be looking for him. Going. I think it's his round.
Yep.
No way.
He'll back door for sure, bro.
No chance.
I was actually going to mention that. What price am I at to back door? Probably, $1.10?
Bloody oath.
Yeah. All right, so team lists have dropped, and as I said, shock inclusions. We'll go through them. Sea Eagles versus the Rabbitohs. For the Sea Eagles, Tom Trbojevic, Jason Saab, Talato Kula, Ruben Garrick in the centres, Jackson Paulo on the wing, Luke Brooks at 5'8", Daly Cherry Evans at halfback, Paseka and Alloway at the front row, Lockie Croker at hooker, Ola Kawatu, Ben Trbojevic is starting on the edge. Jake Trbojevic is at lock with Lawton, Waddell Bullimore and Nathan Brown on the bench. Mikey, I'll go to you. Firstly, what's your biggest takeaway from this Manly team list?
I think not really any surprises in the Manly lineup. We expected to see Jackson Paulo be named on that, as I assume it'll be the left wing. And also Ben Trbojevic is another big one. So obviously pretty dirt cheap. We know Josh Schuster's out, but at the same time, the fact that he's starting and you can jam him in your centre wing, I think he'll be a popular play this week. And although all these low cheapies seem to come with a bit of risk, and I don't think that he definitely has his risk, but at the same time, I think they're the two big takes there. And it's good to see Tommy T named and hasn't done anything in warm-ups yet.
Yeah, he's actually tracking really well, Tommy Turbo, and looking at this opposing backline for the Rabbitohs, I think Tommy Turbo is going to be a massive talking point, especially if he is fit. Timmy, I've listened to Jake and Mikey in the off-season, and they've been really high on Jackson Paulo. We talked about him last week or the week before, and we're not as high. Do you want to kind of state your case to Mikey?
I don't remember having a case on Jackson Paulo, but if you want me to sort of argue about it, I don't know. Like, I actually don't mind it. I don't know what the price is.
I was going to say I could convince you.
The thing I like about it is just if Turbo's playing good footy, then, you know, the wingers are going to be the recipients of that. So if you've got a good feeling about Turbo, then, yeah, Saab was one of my sort of in my mind. I'm thinking, geez, he could go close to top try scorer this year.
Yeah, well, Jake was the one that kind of laid the seeds for it. But the main thing is Ruben Garrick prolifically scores a lot of tries on that left wing spot. If Manly are firing and Tommy's firing, then who's going to be the one that benefits the most? That left winger. So if that continues, realistically, all the left winger's got to do is catch that ball and put it down on the line, and we just think there might be a little bit of super pod, and there might be a bit of value. We're just assuming for, you know, if Manly do go on a bit of a run, he's just going to be off the end of those tries. So I think for me, he was in my side for quite a bit. I've decided to obviously just go with the crowd for now with like Taylor May and kind of RTS alike, but he's definitely still on my radar, and I think he could just be the beneficiary. I know he doesn't have the base, but I still think for the price point, I think he's a good pod.
With someone like Jackson Paulo, I looked into last year's stats, and that what really put me off him. Firstly, he does have a tricky draw at the start of the year, but last year he had 3 games in a row, 91, 101, 87. Apart from that, he had 26, 46, 35, 21, 32, 27, 23, and 24. And personally, I can't stomach that for someone who I'm paying a little bit more for. I think at the price, someone like Taylor May is a lot better. So I think it's more a balancing act. Like if I had the funds to have someone like Jackson Paulo on my reserves, or potentially like if it was a midway through the season, and I'd be looking at purchasing him if he had a good draw, but I just can't do it to start the season, especially with Las Vegas being a bit closer in. I don't know if the wingers are going to score as many tries over the weekend, but yeah, Jackson Paulo is an interesting one. I think everyone's probably got their opinion on him. Are you going to start with him?
No, I did have him, but obviously I needed to, after seeing how RTS trialled. I went Paulo to Carraz originally, then Carraz mystery injury. I kind of dipped back. I went RTS, but at the same time, if I could fit a third centre wing, and I'm looking at around that 400 to 500, it's definitely him and Katoa I kind of like. But for me,
less, I'd be all over it, because that's the same.
Yeah.
Like if it was 100k less, that's similar to Jesse Arthur's sort of money, and I think that I'd rather bank on Paulo getting more tries than Jesse Arthur's at the start of the season.
Yeah. I just think, it also depends. It looks like we've got a bit more cheaper options now coming through. So at the same time, I'm like, no, I won't start with him. But if he does go on a bit of run, I think at some point I wouldn't be surprised if he's scoring a hat-trick, and he's up there with like over 100 with Tommy. So it's going to happen at some point.
For sure. Ben Trbojevic is named at starting back row, 277,000 with that second row centre wing duel. Timmy, I think he's locked into a lot of people's sides, but I've got 2 questions here. 1, do you play him? 2, if someone is hesitant about them, are their hesitations warranted? Because you've obviously got Schuster still to come back. There's Corey Waddell sitting there on the bench, so maybe Ben Trbojevic doesn't get 80 minutes. There is a bit of concern there, but I see a lot of upside there as well.
Yeah, I currently haven't got him in my 17 with the side that I've got at the moment, but I've still probably got to make a lot of tweaks just with the news we've already got, and then some more news to come next week. So I'd be happy enough to play him though in the second row. He'll be having enough runs, and I think he'd be good for at least 40, 50 points. In my eyes. So I think you could play him.
Oh yeah,
but I'm not too sure about the job security and stuff. Like, I mean, is Schuster like? It's not really like it's cemented as it is as his spot.
In my opinion, it's not cemented, but I think with the pay packet, the media, just what he can do and his potential, I think he will be potentially given an opportunity to. Just
wonder how much the 2 brothers, how much they ever say is play our brother. Play Ben.
I think Ben's ready. Like, this is his year. Like, in his starts last year, he was very impressive. I really enjoyed owning him. I owned him for a good amount of time. I think he played like 50 minutes one game and scored 43 for my side, which I was really stoked with at the side, because I was scratching for numbers. But I think this is Ben's year to finally come onto it. And I think just the question is, will Schuster be given a chance to prove he's worth coming straight into the side? Like, will he be given a couple of games, or is he going to have to work his ass off to get back into that side?
I feel like Burbo's probably going to be that guy that even if he does come out of the side and he's annoying, he'll probably come back into their side within a couple of weeks. So you don't have to rush to sell him. I don't reckon. You can just have him as your guy that you know that'll come back for you. Use him as your loop for captains and stuff like that. Not this week, obviously, playing the first game, but yeah.
Last guy for Manly who somewhat relevant, Nathan Brown named on the bench, 341,000. It just got added into SuperCoach. It is second row only. So I think that's a bit of a blow, especially now that we've got your Jamin Salmons who are in contention, Morgan Smithy's, Kai Pearce-Paul around the same price. I think that kills him as a SuperCoach option. I would have been interested if he was front row, but I do want to see how the minutes play out because he is severely underpriced because of his send-off last year and limited minutes. So I want to see how he goes there. But there are other options here, like we've got Tom. Let's talk about Tom, I guess. Actually, let's talk about him after we go through the Rabbitohs. So we'll talk about the Rabbitohs. Latrell, AJ, Isaiah Tass, Richie Kenner, Jacob Gagai, bottom price cheaper, you just got added centre wing. Cody Walker, Lockie Elias, Tavita Totola, Sean Kepi, Damien Cook, Keon Kolomatangi, Jai Arrow on the edge, Cameron Murray, then Havili, Host, Moali, and Tom Burgess. Mikey, the one that stands out there, Jacob Gagai on the wing.
A lot of these guys are just like, none of them, the security isn't 100%. So I thought he was going to get named at centre, and the fact he's been named on the wing, does that mean when Wyden comes back, does Wyden go to centre and then just Kenner just pisses off? Like, that's a big thing. Do we think that Gagai's going to stay there over Kenner? Because if he does, he's going to be there till Munro gets back, and then he is worth purchasing. But to me, at this stage, I don't have him. I've got guys like Kane Bradley and even James Schiller ahead for now. Mm-hmm. If I had a bit more on the security, I'd probably take him over Schiller. But I guess he's the kind of guy that we can wait and see if he does keep the spot when Wyden comes back. Then we just grab him at round 3. But at the same time, I feel like you've got to manage all these risks. Like if you're taking all these little cheap centre wings that don't have 100% security,
you've got to have a lot of problems to deal with. And
you have 3 of them. You're going to imagine all 3, him. You got Burbo and then Kate Bradley, and they all just disappear. Or sorry, let's just say Schiller, and they all disappear. Then all of a sudden, you've got no backups on the benches to deal with buys. So it's a big headache. But unfortunately, we've got to take these gamble with these price players to be able to afford the guns and mid-rangers that we want. It's a juggling act.
He's someone every other year would be straight into my side seeing that news, just because, especially if the Rabbitohs usually start with a pretty favourable draw, but it doesn't, their draw isn't that friendly to start off. So I think someone like him is a wait and see. But
how long's Munro out for?
8 weeks.
That's
8 weeks. So it's a good amount of time.
It's enough time for him to be viable, but it's just whether or not, because the coach just loves to always give Kenner a go.
Yeah.
So whether or not
Kenner, Milnes, Thompson, there's so many there, and you don't know how it's going to work out. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if Thompson got the go forward to travel. So
Thompson could be another.
So maybe Thompson comes in when they're in Australia.
Because he loves Thompson. And originally that's who I thought would take over the wing spot, but he couldn't go over there. So that's probably the best point to note. Yep. It's too risky.
It's way too risky. Especially now that there are so many options. Another option here, Sean Kepi. I know you were keen on him, Mikey, but what are your thoughts, Timmy? He's playing his old club, so round 1 it might be a bit juicy, but... Yeah, there's a 4-forward bench right there with Tom Burgess, Moali. Host will come in and relieve Arrow, who will go into the middle. So, I don't know if Kepi gets a lot of minutes there.
I'm not really that big on Kepi. Hey, he's not someone I've ever really looked at. I mean, he could develop more as he goes and become more SuperCoach viable, but I don't really like him as the eye test for
massive plotter, eh?
The strategy is simple. It was either him or Totola, but looking at their trials and the way he played, he just had such an offload. If he gets a license to offload, all he needs is about at 380k and my second front row spot. I don't want to spend big there. I'd prefer to go him than a Spencer Linu, and just if he can get 40 minutes, he's got a decent PPM, has a bit of an offload. I could get 40 to 50 points off him with those minutes potentially. So if I did that, that's all I'm after there. Just till then I can make other options. I don't like the strategy of the 3 cheap front rowers. I'd prefer to take someone like Kepi and get around the 40 points. That's all I'm after for that price point. I don't want to load up in that position, so I'm looking for a guy between 350 to 400. And yeah, the difference between him and Tola is about 40-ish K, so that is why I've chosen Kepi. Just with the offloading ability.
The guys that are a similar sort of price point, he's probably better than Linu.
Yeah, that's just my whole point there. I know they've got that 4 forward bench, but as I said, all I need him is to play around that 40 points, have a bit of an offload, and I think that'll do. New club.
He averaged 41 minutes last year, and his average was only 37.8. Went at about 0.9 ppm.
So I just need the offload to then get it to where I said.
Yeah, if you get 45 minutes and an offload, I get new club, new role. So maybe it just frees him up a bit, and he doesn't have the added pressure of
it's just at the
what
price
he
point
felt like before.
Yeah.
So like he's at what he's priced at, he's borderline. There is potential there, but I just think in the front row there's a lot of options, and I probably don't want to spend that much on Sean Kepi. If it was 300K, I'd be all over him, to be honest.
Yeah.
For the Rabbitohs, we've also got, we've got your guns, Latrell. There's not much else there that screams out shock, but I'll go back to Tom Mikey. With that back line, Jacob Gagai, Richie Kenner, Isaiah Tass potentially on the wrong side because Jack Whiten will be playing on the left, maybe goes to the right, who knows. Does that worry you if you aren't a Tommy owner? Because I think he could nearly have a field day.
I don't think it matters who Tommy plays. Like I think I'd be he's the kind of guy that you're just going to be nervous about all the time if you don't have him. And I know you didn't have him, Savs, and I was very surprised by that. He's been in and out of my side. Like it's just him versus Drinky. And although right now I don't have him, he could definitely sneak in. I feel like at the non-Vegas party, I feel like I'm going to want to own him.
Oh,
but
yeah, for sure.
I need to think long-term, and if I match up his and Drinky's draw, I prefer Drinky's draw, and Drinky controls that side. We don't know how Brooks is going to come in. We don't know what the structure is going to be like with their spine, where with the Cowboys, I know what the structure is going to be like with their spine. Drinky controls a lot more than Did and Townsend. So that's kind of why I've got him ahead. But you make a great point.
It, but he takes advantage of the big play moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He gets that sort of like, give me the ball now, and then ices that. Because I even noticed like Townsend tried to do a bit of a rainbow ball over to Kyle Felt, and Kyle Felt had to sort of jump and missed it.
He nails that pass,
Drinky every time just goes bang and puts it on his chest. So.
Oh, Drinky is so good. I think the fact that he went to the Cowboys as a fullback. I think the fact that he played 5'8" for a few years, I think that's done him so good because he's learned all them skills. And I always thought just put him at fullback like that. Lachlan Coote running around there, that hammer for a bit. Like he was always going to be the fullback, and I'm so glad he's come on. He's such a good player. And
Tom's sorry, go Savs.
No, we're not talking about play drink water. It's not
I was just gonna say the main factor there too is like obviously you want to try and pick some pods, and Tom's got he was at 11%, and that's when I brought him in. He's gone up to 15-16% and almost close. It's still a pod for him, but then I look at Drinkwater at 4%, and then I like those odds better with the With the draw. Exactly right. Again, starts off with the Dolphins, and then, Manly's draw doesn't get any easier. But as we said, Tom can pop off against anyone at any time, and the injury concern, it's the thing is, I love Tom, but when you got all these other options, you're just going to go, who do you like better? And I'm trying to be a bit different there, as I'm following the pack in some other positions. It's all about balance, right?
Who do you think's going to win this one, Timmy? Picklebet, shout out to Picklebet. Use the code TURBO when signing up. Make sure to know what you're really gambling with. But Picklebet have Manly Seagulls at $2.09 and South Sydney Rabbitohs at $1.72. I think I'm all over the Manly Seagulls.
Yeah, well, when I actually put my tips in before I seen the teams list, I, in my mind, pictured it being close and Latrell kicking the field goal and winning by 1. But now when I'm looking at that back line, I'm thinking maybe... Yeah, it could be a bit more. I just don't know how these games are going to go. I feel like the NRL might get in the refs' ear or the players' ears and just be put on a show, just do good elite things, and we'll give you your moments, all right? We'll give you the penalty when you need it down the end. Just get the back line set and do that thing you did.
I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. I don't think the refs, the Aussie refs are going over there, obviously. I think they're just going to be told to put the whistle away. And then all the big plays and all that will come late in the halves when teams are fatiguing and all that sort of stuff. Different, like, I don't know what the weather's like over there. It's probably colder, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they're in the opposite seasons to what we are usually.
So it's a bit colder, maybe a bit less fatigue goes into that factor. But I just feel like they're going to be told to ref it like they did the grand final.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good game, hey? They look so equal on, like, the forward packs.
They're very equal because the forward packs aren't elite, but they're, like, just...
got enough going on with
it.
And then you match up the spines with each other, and both spines are very competitive. But I agree with you, Sabs. I think they won't. You don't want to showcase a game and have the refs control it and whistles when Americans are learning the rules.
Conspiracy theorist. I'm going to go the Bunnies. I just think that
I'm leaning towards the Bunnies too.
To win.
I'm leaning towards the Bunnies I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy T still
Kid Leroy has just endorsed them.
Russell Crowe.
They've done the American... But Russell Crowe versus Hugh Jackman...
The Bunnies are so big everywhere that they want, people wearing Bunnies shirts down the streets.
Russell Crowe did the voiceover or the voiceover for explaining the rules to the Americans, which I'm sure they'll be playing at Allegiant Stadium before all that goes off. And it was actually a pretty good video. I watched it and I thought he did a really pretty good job.
You're like, hey, I know the rules, but I'm enjoying this.
No, but at the same time, I was like, oh yeah, he's doing a good job at explaining it if I was learning the game. Like, it's a good way to learn the game. Like, I feel like he did a good job explaining it.
One more thing before we move on to the next one. If you're not going with Cleary, Luke Brooks... Like, with the dual 5'8" halfback, I think that's quite juicy because it allows you to say one of your 5'8s isn't going very well, allows you to move him down, or you can just sell him until you're ready to get Cleary in. Option?
I really like him. I thought about him for a little bit, and I saw on Twitter that Des had something about, I think he might be Desi Creek 29 champ, might be starting with him. And then it made me start thinking about Brooks a bit more, and I thought, well, this is a guy that just, kind of like just turns up for the Tigers every year, knowing where they're probably at on the ladder, still gives it his all, but just that deep drive, like all that, like to go somewhere where you've actually got a bit of belief. I think it could be really, really exciting for him, and having other guys around him that are, pretty elite. Could be good for him, but I just can't afford it at this moment.
Yeah.
I've got Hutcho down. I hate it. But I'd rather him sit a wing.
He's a lot of money, but with Luke Brooks, I actually listened to a podcast with him. Matty Johns, backstage, just kicked off this week, the podcast, and he was pretty much saying that his role with Manly, it's not going to be just run. What they're going to do is pretty much they're not playing both sides of the field either. They're just playing off each other. So they'll share the kicking.
The classic halfback gives it to the 5'8". I love that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think I was thinking about it, and Luke Brooks can be great halfback. Like, I think it's a good succession plan for Manly. I just think he'll benefit so much off it.
He's going to kill it there. Like, I think it's a good move, and as you said, like we always said, he needs to go somewhere where he doesn't have to be the the star of the show. He just needs times to be like the guy in the back, and then pick and choose his moment. So. I like him in the price. He keeps coming in and out of my side because it's either for me, it's pair him with Moses or go a Dylan Brown and Sam Walker combo. And I keep like pairing it up in my head because everything I said before about Jackson Paulo, then that would also benefit Luke Brooks if they're going to go all their attack down that left edge like they normally do. The only thing is, I think from time to time, Tommy T is that guy that usually throws that cutout pass at that edge. And that's why a part of me just goes, I need to see how this works. If it was a bit of a better draw, then I might be all over it. But at $560K, I'd prefer maybe at this stage Sam Walker for a little bit extra because he kicks goals. They've both got tough matchups, kicks goals, and I think he's going to have a breakout year too.
If Luke Brooks kicked goals, I'd be,
It changes things.
You'd be all over it. Moali, $268K, looked all right in the trials. Is he someone, I mean, we've got a lot of cheapy front rows that are emerging, so probably can't do it.
That name's like sort of haunted at SuperCoach a little bit.
It's kind of like Ben Trbojevic, but we're doing it again.
But, he's probably 1 year on. It could be just the right time, He might be ready to go and just be bashing it out. Game could go to the next level, but I'm just happy with the other cheaper options that are available at the moment. So
I can't do it. You remember when I was calling him Mole the whole time on the podcast, and he burnt me that year. Like I just couldn't get rid of him. So as you said, he might have the anomaly year, and he probably is because he's got an awesome PPM. But 4 forward bench, all that kind of stuff, Kepi coming in, their rotation's a bit of a headache.
You know what's funny? We did on our other NRL show podcast. pronunciations that annoy you,
we should've brought that one up.
and we're planning on doing that very shortly too. Not today, but like in a couple of weeks when we build up a couple more. And Mole, you saying Mole was already on that list.
Good.
It doesn't annoy me. I love it.
Oh,
I'm so
it's funny.
excited.
Oh, and I think another one on the list was you saying the way you say Finucane.
Yeah, I'm really bad at it.
How do you say it?
Now it's hard because I've heard you say it, but Finucane. Like,
No, how did you used to say it?
I don't remember.
Finucane.
Finucane, yeah. Finucane. It was like on the podcast with Jake, I had to try and pronounce Filifuaki.
I feel like Finucane is a real 2GB
Finafuaki.
pronunciation.
I feel like I did a really good job at the podcast, but that name just literally makes my brain go, like it's very hard.
I think I'm saying it wrong. I thought I've been saying it right the whole time.
Finefuyaki?
Finufeki Fuyaki?
No, that's not it. It's Finifuyaki.
Finifuyaki.
Something like
but
that.
It sounds like Finefeki Fuyaki.
But you do the.
I think if you were to print phonetically, is that how they you would say
maybe.
Finufeki Fuyaki?
That's another one to add to the list, Barry.
For me,
chuck it in.
I'll find out how to pronounce it, but it's Finifeki Fuyaki in my eyes because I like the extra syllable added to it because it's just cool. Anyway, moving on to the Roosters versus the Broncos. So at this point, I'm sure a lot of us are pretty much sideways at the start. So we've got to make sure we get our ducks in a row and make sure our sides are set up before we make any drunk trades. And just promise that we don't make drunk trades unless it's a really high-scoring game, the first game, and you haven't got someone like, let's say, you're considering Reece Walsh. You might be leaning on getting him in. I know it's just round one that you're looking at there, but...
the reason I'm off Reece Walsh is I can picture like Latrell's being bussy and getting their tries over, but I just don't reckon... He skips around.
Yeah.
I just reckon he's not going to have the space and it's not going to work.
Anyway... sorry. Let's cut you off. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I thought you were done, but you kept going. So the Roosters, James Tedesco, Daniel Tupou, Billy Smith, Joey Manu, Joseph Suoli'i, Luke Keary, Sam Walker, Spencer Linu starts... Brandon Smith starts. Lindsay Collins starts. Shock. We found this out this morning. I didn't believe it, but Su'a Wong and Sitili Tupanua start on the edges. Victor Radley at lock. Sandon Smith on the bench. Nafahu White, Nat Butcher, and Terrell May. This has worked out well, to be honest, for anyone. I like the look of Wong and Tupanua. I don't know with the split rounds if you can do it because you can.
You can't have both.
Trying to navigate it, and especially with Nat Butcher on the bench, we know he's good on the edge. But Tupanua was playing in the middle in the trial, so maybe Wong is the one that's locked in there. Mikey, what are your thoughts?
We've had a small sample size of Wong, and we know what we're going to get, and he's built for SuperCoach. But I seem to think that he's behind that pecking order in that second role system. I feel like I could be wrong, but if I'm picking over the two, I like Tupanua better because he's $398K, so you save 60-ish K, and we know they're both try-scoring, second rows, and even if Tupanua did play 60 to 65, I said it before, I'm happy to slot him in at that price for that because he's a guy that one try and you've got to score about 60, and at that price, he's going to make cash. So I'm happy to have him. I'm going to play him, and even with that tough draw, there's no way you can have both. And Wong will be on my radar because we've got Nat Butcher on the bench. It'll be interesting to see how that works. But I think the other big shock, Savs, that you posted up a thing the other day, Connor Watson not named as a utility. I think that's the biggest surprise out of this team list.
I'm so surprised. I thought he was locked into that side, and you're kind of looking at that side and you're thinking maybe Sandon Smith is the one that you thought wasn't going to make it because Connor Watson can play in the middle, and maybe Sandon Smith is just more versatile in the backline and does a better job in the backline, so that's why they've gone with him because they don't need the extra middle. This bodes well for people like Terrell May, who I've still got in my starting side, and I'm very happy with that. I think he's going to come off the bench and do a similar job. But someone like Spencer Linu starting, do you think that benefits him, Timmy?
I don't know because he's always been that guy that comes off the bench and when guys are a bit tired and he's more ruthless then. So maybe it'll take away from his...
It's a big point.
Venom. He's still going to come out and be like...
Mikey's sitting there like, yep.
Yeah, that's a great point.
He reminds me of the Tasmanian tiger but doesn't spin, but he just does that straight, without spinning. He just... he's like a... He's still going to be an animal, but I think minutes are a bit of the concern, and I'm just probably going to just wait and see if he gets a bigger role there and what that's like. I'm stay clear from now.
I think his minutes stay the same.
I don't think it's a
I
terrible.
think so
I don't
too.
think it's a
I don't think it
terrible thing
matters.
for people. Like if someone start with him, I think he's cheap enough. And
The big thing is the Roosters' rotation, which is the main reason I really haven't touched any of their front row forwards. At Penrith, we knew what their rotation was and what minutes you kind of get. Here, we're not 100% sure how it's going to work because now they got Terrell May on the bench, and I think having Nat Butcher on the bench is probably good too, but he's a guy that has played in the middle before too, so we can't rule that out. Maybe that's why they prefer to have a Nat Butcher on the bench as to say Wong on there or even have Crichton on the bench because he can cover the middle. So there's big questions here. There's a lot of mouths to feed at the Roosters, and that is kind of, well, I know we might say, they'll wait and see. There's a wait and see. You've got to take a jump with some of these. But
say like Satili, because I'm just thinking I wasn't going to do it, but now I'm thinking as much as I don't mind Smithies there, he's not much more expensive. I could swap Smithies.
I
to
prefer
him.
Tupouniua off Smithies.
More attacking stuff, yeah.
Oh, we don't know how Smithies is going to be used either.
But the thing is, I'm a little bit. I don't want to have too many problems, like have him not in the starting side and then coming off the bench, and then it's like, do I want to sell him then? Like, I was kind of just going to watch those and see if any of those sorts of ones, especially the Roosters ones.
Lucky there is options. Like, if you're not starting with a Salmon or you're not starting with a Firma, there are guys that you can go up and down to that don't cost too much. So at least, don't stress too hard. But as we said before, you just got to take a dive with some of these guys.
The Roosters draw's not that great. So
they've got one of the worst draws out of all the sides.
And if you want a guy to be getting you a couple of try in one of those first 3 games, it might not happen before they have the bye too. So
with Spencer as well, so they he averaged about 33 minutes last year at a 1 ppm. So he's priced at whatever minutes he's playing. If he does get a couple more minutes, like say he plays 40. That's a bit of value. And last year, I'm looking at his attacking stats. He scored 1 try throughout the year. Hardly any offloads. He's played 20 games and 0 points in offloads, 2 points in offloads, 0 points in offloads, 8 points in offloads, 2 points, 0, 8. There was a game where he had 16 and then 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 2, 0.
It's not really in his not that it's not in his wheelhouse, but his job is grab that ball and just run full pelt and run as hard as you can because he's a big body.
I feel like when he runs, he's that angry. The only thing that he could he couldn't throw a ball. The only thing he could throw would be a punch. He's just so angry.
But that's the way it works. So with him, most time he runs that ball, he's getting you 2 points for his run ups. Which is good in a sense, but Savs brings up a good point. He could be also an alternative to people that are thinking around Kepi and that because, if he does get starting, I reckon he's going to at least get 40 minutes. He'll play the first 20 and hope to come up for last. So he's got 7. He's got a lot. He's got maybe 7 points of value in him if you think, new club, new motivation.
He's got that new club factor too.
Yeah, he's obviously 50k cheaper, and I guess with starting, he also, as I just said, I think he's going to get at least 40 minutes there. So averaging 33, there is some value there.
And that's still value, and it's probably someone for 40 you can probably play, if you have to. I think I prefer to play someone like Sam Hughes, who has an offload in him. But,
we don't know what Hughes means.
He's so highly owned, I still don't mind it. Terrell May, I think he still comes off and plays 50 like he did late last year, and in the trial match, he did exactly that, scored 55.
I'm not super confident on it. There's something in me that's going...
Yeah.
I know you guys love him, but I've seen a lot of people that don't love him, and I'm on that fence. Look, we saw what he could do with the PPM last year, but picking a bench forward's risky. And although you're saying, look what he did last year, but there's a different rotation this year.
Yep.
And I think that you've got to be concerned about picking someone that's coming off the bench with a rotation that we don't know. And you've also got to assume that Nat Butcher may chip into the front row minutes. And if he does, then you're going to be in trouble because he's going to take up more minutes.
Stop spitting facts, bro.
But it's a fair point because I know Sabs has probably been all up.
Do you know what though?
Alley,
I do like what you say, and I think for the little 45k more, I think I prefer Flegler over May for 45k.
Agreed. 100%.
I think I do.
Gilbert going down. I think I might do it now.
I just think it's the bench thing that is making people think it's a bit risky. I don't feel great about it, but I think he has an upside.
Well, especially
I think he has upside
when he gets the minutes still, but he's coming on when the other players on the field are a bit tired and taking advantage of some of that. So
I think it's the bench thing that is putting us off. Probably the fact
it's
that
not
they've
just the
got
bench thing, it's
so
the
many middle
rotation.
forwards as well. I think Nofahu White probably drops out for JWH when he comes back. So
Yeah, he'll have the least amount of minutes in that front row rotation.
no,
right?
I think Spencer does easily. I think he has more minutes than.
I reckon he gets more than White, especially if he's starting. I think he gets 20 and 20.
Nofahu White.
Yeah, White, yeah.
I think JWH probably gets 30 minutes, maybe 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how we go with that one,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I'd honestly prefer Spencer Linu to Terrell May and bank the 120K. I know that might sound
100K,
crazy.
100K.
Oh, sorry, 100. Isn't 330 to 4? What is he? 430?
Yeah.
100K. And if you think May's going to get you like 48 and Spencer can get 40, 100K, 8 points, like what can you do with that 100K?
It's a good point. I'm expecting 55 to 60 for Terrell May. But James Tedesco, one of the guns in for the Roosters.
Your boy.
You're started with him.
I
was so surprised, Sabs, when I found it out. One of the most toughest draws, a guy that's just really, really struggled in the past few seasons, or especially last season. I can see the warrant. He's at a very juicy price, but
I don't like it either, but I've kind of trust you to back yourself. Like, I'm like, there's some things that I've seen you do.
he makes
fine.
some
I'm like, I don't know
awesome
what
calls in
he's doing there,
SuperCoach.
yeah.
I'm never, ever going to tell you not to, but I hate this one. I really hate this one when you're going up against, like, especially early, you're going up against a Drinky, a Tom. I can't believe he doesn't have Tom. Like, this is a changed
competition
man.
he's up
Yeah.
against is
It's good. No, but it's good. Like, I cannot believe that you're not running Turbo at his ownership. It's just not. It's just something we don't see
No,
from the Savage
see,
Turbos.
the thing is-
Savage Turbos.
The thing is, if
might
all-
add.
If all if all the fullbacks had good draws, I think Tommy would be in there 100%. But because they all have tricky draws, I feel like Drinky's probably the one that
Has the better draw.
has
or
the better draw.
I think the best draw, to be honest, is Gutho.
Yeah.
Mr. Safety, that, and you're going to get Mr. Safety at 2%. And have a look at his last stats against the Panthers, and he's playing Panthers round 2. He kills them.
And then you can just
Absolutely
you
kills
can
them.
decide after a few
But
weeks
does
who
he
you
get
want
us
to
a
go
lot of the
to.
time around the buys? Am I just thinking that in my mind?
No, he does.
It's always
but-
early. It's always early.
Last year, early, bro, like not owning it, like I'm telling you, like Guffo's fun to own because you know what you're going to get with him. You're not going to get a low score, but I know it's hard not to mitigate to the other guys' rounds, but when you're talking about someone like Teddy, the main thing is the competition. There's just so many big fullbacks, and if he doesn't fire and he gets 45 or 50s, you're going to be in trouble while these other fullbacks can bang 1 to 150.
He was getting close to hundreds and 80s and stuff, and we're like, no, he's not really opening up. And that's why I'm just like, well, if he just does that, I'll be happy
got
with
potential,
that.
yeah.
And if he opens a can of whoop ass, then who knows what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Turbo was expected to do much more because it was an easy draw when he was looking very ginger. Now he's got a tough draw, and he probably is fitter than he was last year. So it's a bit of a take some, give some with Turbo at the moment. I think by round 5 or 6, Tommy's probably going to be a must-have. I just don't think he has that big 150 early on, and I think.
And you reckon Teddy will? Do you reckon?
No. I just
If
think.
you reckon
I
he's a
just,
must-have by 5 or 6, why not just start with
no,
him?
I just think the price they can
He
kind
saved
of
130K
Yeah.
realistically
Yeah.
by doing it too. So
So it's not necessarily I think Turbo's going to do Teddy's going to do better than Turbo. I just think I can reach Turbo quite easily after a couple of weeks because I think the output's going to be similar.
but he could do May to Linu and then afford Tom.
Yeah, shut up.
I just went Marju down to Val Holmes, little drop, just so I could go.
Well, I'm considering
Get
Linu now.
Flegger
I'm
in.
considering a Kepi to Linu, like just with the 50K. Like,
Yeah, well, just back on Gutho, he's not going to Vegas this weekend because he is going to Mardi Gras because he is a buy guy.
What's going on?
it's a little joke that wasn't funny.
Is he a buy guy?
Yeah, he's a buy guy.
Oh,
But,
'cause he's-
but the
yeah,
Eagles,
yeah.
it would have been funny if the Eagles, if
he
he
played
actually
for
wasn't
Supercoach
playing.
over
Yeah,
twice, yeah.
yeah.
All right, over to the Broncos. Reece Walsh is at fullback. Jesse Arthurs and Dean Mariner beats out Corey Oates for that wing spot. Katoni Staggs and Cobbo in the centres. Ezra Mam and Adam Reynolds in the halves. Jensen and Haas up front. Billy Walters at hooker. Pierre Kura and Ricky on the edges. Pat Carrigan at 13. Tyson Smoothie, Fletcher Baker, Kobe Hetherington, and the much-anticipated cheapie Xavier Willison gets that number 17 spot. A lot has worked out here. We've got Pierre Kura, who's named. We've got Jesse Arthurs named on a wing. Left wing, potentially, looks like. But then we've also got Pierre Kura named. We've got Willison in. I think this game has worked out for the super coaches. But what's the biggest takeaway for you, Mikey?
Oh, Not really too many surprises. Obviously, the big one there was Piakura. Although that he's named doesn't mean that he's 100% going to play. But the handy thing, if he doesn't, it's quite easily to just zag off him to one of the other guys that play in the next round, which is handy. I reckon he's going to play, and even say he misses out, it's only a short-term injury, and he's just that guy that when we've seen what he can do, I think you got to have him out of all these mid-ranges. It comes in at 420K. Although Broncos have a toughish draw, he can score tries I feel like he's going to have like a lot of tries this year. And then I guess, as you mentioned, the other big intake was our D Mariner there. Like, sucks that he didn't really get much of a discount in the small sample size. He killed it last year. Not surprised that he's named on the wing over Oates, just because I think this guy's going to light it up this year. And some people were expecting a Broncos regression. Although their side might not look as good as it did last year, I still think they're going to be very competitive, and that's what's so tough about these Vegas games is you can see them going either way. Tough start to tipping.
Yeah, the reason I don't think they're going to regress much at all is just because you look at that forward pack, and some of these other sides, you're like thinking that they'll go a lot better this year. Their forward pack's nowhere near as good, you know what I mean? And then they've got elite backs as well. So
that's the thing. They've got the spine. They've got the X factor fullback. I think a lot of these teams that do kill it early, they've got the X factor fullback, and to be honest, he's one that you got to consider.
That's also true. Just before I lose my thought on Brendan Piakura, I think he's by far the number one mid-ranger available. He's one of the cheaper ones at 420.
I'll put him at number 2.
And he's come out of your side, hasn't he?
No, he's in my side. Okay. He's not injured. Even if he doesn't play this week, he's going to stay in my side. He's the cheapest mid-ranger. He is...
Tupanua is cheaper than him.
Yes, that's true. But he is the only one with the job security that is 100%. So this is why I have the Broncos kind of regressing a little, because say one of these second rows get injured or one of these middles, you look at who's to come in, like who's going to come play second row for that. Like maybe Pat Carrigan goes to an edge. They haven't got many middles to come through. Like I know Martin Tapau, I don't know how he pronounces it, Tapua now or something like that. Tapa'u. Like he comes into that bench and like the depth is just so short.
Well, they're saying if Piakura doesn't play, it's going to be a young Jaden Hunt. So that just shows you there. So I guess if one of them does go down, it's good for SuperCoach because you're going to get a bottom dollar second row most likely.
Yeah. And then I think a massive underrated part, everyone talks about Herbie and Flegler. Kurt Capewell, every club he's gone to, he's taken them to a grand final and taken them deep into the finals.
That's a nice little stat there because he's right.
I
don't think if it's solely on him, but it's like one of those little tokens.
He's just such a tough bastard.
Yeah.
I like Capewell.
He looked good in there, Charles.
He's a good footy player. I don't know about the words he's taken them. Like I don't feel like he's got that. Like James Maloney would go to like clubs and have that factor. Yeah. That's a bit different.
Because he's talking a lot and he's setting everything up. But with Capewell, I just look at when the Broncos fell off a couple of years ago. They let players like Andrew McCulloch go, who senior player. They let Josh Maguire go, senior player, and they went with all the youngsters. And look how bad they went. And they still had Haas, Carrigan. They didn't have the gun fullback. I think the gun fullback is the missing piece. They've got a pretty good backup in Tristan Saylor at fullback, but not quite as good as Reece Walsh. So I just think.
But very good compared to some of the other replacements for what other clubs have. I reckon that's up there.
Yeah,
he's going to be knocking on that door for that utility at some point. I think he needs to get into that side. He's too good of a footy player to not be playing first grade.
100%. But look at the year they did bad. Tamari Martin was playing fullback, and I think he's quite similar style fullback to Saylor. Saylor's probably got a better running game, but their passing game is quite.
Tamari Martin's a little bit too feathery. Like I feel like Tristan Saylor's a bit more. He's I don't know. He's not feathery.
Ezra Mann. You keen?
Originally, when we did the halves podcast, or one of the podcasts I did with Jake, I had him in just for a little bit because I liked the price. But the more I digged in and looked at his stats, I didn't like him. I guess it's just a little bit of hope and belief of what he did in the grand final is what kind of, and his price point, you go, wow, if he can replicate this more, then, you're on to a winner here. But look how many tries he scored last year. And he still, I think the stat was, I don't know it exactly, but he didn't have a score above like 85 or something.
And I think you said that SuperCoach score for the grand final was pretty average.
It was like 108 or something like that.
They did fall asleep. That 108 was basically in 50 minutes of footy. But at the same time, I think you'd prefer to take someone like Luke Brooks or I'd even prefer
I
a
don't
Luke
think
Metcalf
he's that
over
great at
him.
just based on looking at the stats, but he looks like he passes the eye test for Supercoach.
And he's only
He
going to
does,
get better.
doesn't he?
He's only going to get better.
Yeah, so I think he could become relevant.
I think something that helps him is Piacora playing on his edge. Piacora is more of a line runner, like a Britton Nickera type line runner, whereas Capewell wasn't that player. So I think Ezra Mam can benefit off that. So I
More
do,
of a hole runner.
yeah, I do think there's a bit of uptick that can happen for him, but he's still got to keep up with that 15 tries that he scored last
Yeah,
year.
that one.
Mardi Gras this weekend.
Yeah, I know.
Is it?
I don't know.
That's not like Sav's not to pick up on your little...
Yeah, no, I got that. Yeah, and last one before we move on to something else, Xavier Willison. Sam Hughes is obviously in everyone's side. Tommy McHaley after the weekend looks like he's going to be in everyone's side. Can you go the 3-prong forward attack?
It's a big question. I've pondered it. And then I think the main thing is if you're thinking about it, plug it in, have a look, and then see what you can do with the extra money. If you can make a difference with that extra money and say grab a Harry Grant or a gun or fix up a position, then I like it. If you're not really gaining too much from it, then why take the risk? I think that's the big thing here. Like all three of these guys could do good. I don't think Willison's going to get heaps of minutes, but every trial that he played this season, he scored a try or had a big attacking set. He's so big. I could see him in his 30-minute stint getting tries. So although he'll be a slow burn, this guy, unlike a lot of props or like most props, he can score a try.
He's a smart footy player too. Like
So,
the try he scored
it could
in
work.
the All-Stars, he didn't like he got real low, man. Like he
Yeah.
like, and it was like I was like,
I
you're a
really
try
like
scorer,
him.
sir.
I had him, but obviously because I only want to run two, I prefer McHaley at an extra 25k, like saving. Like that's why, like if I'm picking out of the two of them, I'm going to pick him.
McHaley over Piacura?
Yeah. Oh no, over Willison. Yeah,
yeah.
because he's a bit cheaper, and a lot of people were shouting that to whatever we're going to call Marty.
Double.
Yeah, to get it. Although I think he might keep it over. Yeah, there's just a bit of questions, and right now, like money's a bit scarce in like getting another player. So I'm happy to take McHaley over him. But there could be a world where all three of
The
them
three
work.
could work. I just reckon, like obviously one of them, so you can play two, like Gunn and your cheap guy needs to nail it. So I think Hughes is the best.
Yeah.
I think to probably maybe get you 40, 50. But I'm not confident. I don't know about the minutes enough to...
That's why I'd prefer to have a Kepi or a Spence or someone like that. And then if I'm wrong, I could drop down to whoever I miss.
That's a good strategy.
I think that'd be better because then otherwise, what if it doesn't work and these like Hughes and all those three we just mentioned get 30s?
Yeah.
Then
It's hard to upgrade them.
That's when you're in trouble. So I'd prefer to start with the guy that I think will get
Palacia.
40, and if I'm wrong, I can drop. I know you're all over Palestine. I had him in my side, so I watch him in that trial. I think he's one of the biggest traps for this year. I think he's
I'm a
think he's
bit concerned
I
after
don't
the
think
weekend.
he's a trap. I just
11
don't-
points. He's got no work rate.
Played,
Absolutely
like
none.
20 minutes though, didn't
Yeah, but like he's like PPM's always been a bit lower, and just having a look at him, and then he's got
Clearly could
contention
have
for
just been
minutes.
holding back, wanting to get through to round one.
Mate, he saw all these ACLs happen. He just like,
Yeah,
I wanna
he's
play
a
for the
jewel,
boys.
and I think like I prefer Kepi over him, which is what I'm
Yep.
doing. But I definitely had him all preseason until like then I was like, nah, he's someone that I could maybe eat my hat later and jump back on if he does well. But I'd be very surprised if he does.
All right, that's the team list for Las Vegas round. Hopefully, we see you guys there on Sunday at the non-Vegas round. It's going to be a cracker.
All
We're
three of us are going.
we are. There's
We've got a bit of a party. My brother's coming, and we got 3 reps from the SuperCoach experience. Unfortunately, no Jake, but Barnesy and all that. There's a few other podcasts that are going, which I didn't realize that were going.
Yeah,
so.
not many other podcasters speaking on the panel though. We'll be there.
Yep.
We'll be speaking on the panel with Corey Parker. You're going to meet Corey Parker again.
Again, yeah. I haven't seen this feud live
We're
in
fine
person,
now.
so.
We're in good terms.
Oh
now,
yeah. Oh yeah. You saw him at the Dolphins thing last
Good
year.
terms,
Did
yeah.
you hear the trial? Sorry, did you hear the trial games? Vossi kept asking SuperCoach questions to
Yeah,
Corey
yeah.
Parker, and the opinions he was giving out. I was like, oh, bro, come on.
No, I didn't mind what he said.
No, I didn't agree with
"Would
what
you
he
start
said."
with that, and he's kind of like, "Oh, it's a bit about balance." I was
It's
like,
getting a little bit
not
better.
Not a bad answer. Like he could have. completely-
Yeah, it was a fullback that he was someone he was talking about. Oh, would you start with him and
I was drinky.
drinking? And yeah, that's probably why I didn't like what he said because he was. But like, that's fine. Listen to Corey.
He
Parker.
was
Yeah,
like-
I think what he said, like you talk about balance, you got where you want to spend your money, and that's
He
right.
actually did. I'm going to clip up the negative stuff you said about him just then, and I'll play it to him on the weekend.
What negative stuff?
He said nothing
You
negative.
actually didn't say anything.
It was me that was negative.
Okay, so I just want to bring up a topic. A lot of people are worried about the split rounds and, spending too much cash this weekend compared to and leading into next weekend. I think it's a valid point, but I've put together some numbers and I just want to put people's mind at ease. So if you are considering spending up this weekend, and realistically, there's not that many players to spend up on. Like there's your Daily Cherry Evans and stuff, but that's a pretty unique situation if you are getting Cherry Evans. So I'll put together SuperCoach relevant side with the likes of the people that you could want. So I've got Walsh, Turbo, Tupanua, Piakura, and Ezra Mam here, just as someone who you might want to put in your side. They come together at 3.8 million. The cap is 11.65 million. So you've got an average of $413,000 to spend on every single other player. So with all the other cheapies that are available in the center wing who have come up, like I haven't even included Bobo in that, so that price would go up with less players to choose from. So I think $413,000 per player, considering how many mid-rangers are still available in that second row slot, is still a lot to spend with. So Walsh and Turbo, I picked them because they're the most expensive fullbacks that you can go with this weekend. There's not many other more expensive fullbacks you can go with next weekend. Like there's obviously Ponga and Drinkwater. But if you're spending up this weekend, unless you're absolutely ruining your side and just structuring it awfully, like you've got DCE and Brooks and all that sort of stuff. If you're taking a measured approach,
Should be able to make it work.
You should be able to make it work. And a lot of people aren't going to go Tupanua and Wong. Like you're going to choose another cheapie, another mid-ranger like Sean Lane or Bo Firma, and you're going to be able to play with that next week. So I just wanted to put people's mind at ease for that. And after hearing that, does that kind of put your mind at ease a little bit?
I'm not that great with maths. I'm sitting there spreading my 480,000 going, I don't know. I'm just worried that I just won't be able to plug that final piece of the puzzle and I'll just be like, why did I start with this guy? I didn't have to. I could have just left that guy out. And I'll feel like it'll seem obvious at the time. I'm just hoping I can identify that before.
I warrant the stress. I think that's too much. That's like, it's a new strategy. It's a new phase in the game. But at the same time, like, it's fair enough. If you wanted the two-gun fullbacks, that's fine. You're going to have them no matter when they play. But we still have a full week. These sides are still training. Injuries can still happen. Other people might win. Like, things can change. That's the problem with a split first-round TLT. And all of a sudden, if you've had 400K, oh, yeah, that's not too bad. All of a sudden, if carnage happens, you might not be able to recover these spots and you'll have to lose a gun that you really wanted.
Okay, but realistically, the most we're spending here is Walsh and Turbo at the back. Realistically, are most people going to want to go down? Like, they're going to want to go up to Drinky and Ponga.
See, I've had in my deciding factors of not starting his Turbo is purely that round one reason. Because I've got Turbo and Drinky very similar, I choose Drinky because then I have more money to play with.
Yep.
And then if I don't like that, I could decide to go down to Paps if I really wanted to. I have that option. So I get what you're saying, but at the same time, that has figured into my decision of choosing a fullback. I just think you got to be aware of it. Like, at the same time, if you do what Savs just said and you go in and the team was as you predicted, then yeah, that's going to work out better for you. But I'm just trying to navigate a system that works because, as you said, you're going to have to take, I think in the cheapy side, it's fine. Load up in as many of the cheaper guys because what if some of the cheaper guys don't happen? Starting them, taking the ones this weekend could work out, you know what I mean? Like,
and I think most of us are going to lock in the cheapies that are available this weekend. Jacob Gagai is probably one a lot of people are going to pass on who, like, he might get a couple of weeks and he might be an okay buy. Yeah. But I think that's the risk you take. And I don't think you risk selling a gun to have a cheapie like Gagai in your side. So just with that, I think, yeah, it's a bit less to stress about. But at the same time, it's just like, I think people are overthinking it, but it's obviously warranted because things could not work your way.
I think it's an interesting dynamic is just how the first two games play out. Like, and if like people who have got players,
exactly.
If you got runs on the board, you're feeling so good.
Yeah.
You know, you rest of your once the team wins jobs, it's feeling good. But if like you guys haven't worked out, you're starting to panic a little bit and going, "What am I doing? Where am I going to get my points from?" You know, this week. And I can see some people doing some wacky things to try to get a couple extra guns.
Well,
in this
that could be me. Like, both my fullbacks are playing this weekend. If they don't do well, yeah, I'm going to be like, okay.
I don't mind it, but I'd be nervous about having both.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's just like any other week. It's just over and done with more quick if it's in 1 week. All right, so that's Las Vegas. I've got one hot topic to talk about. Sean Lane started on the bench. Was he your number one mid-ranger?
Yeah, he was my number one because although he was starting on the bench, I believe he's going to be in on that left edge. And if I believe he's going to get 80 minutes and be on that left edge, then I put him as number one purely on draw.
Yeah.
Because I really like that Eels draw. And like if we're talking about mid-rangers around the same price, I'm looking at draw. And a lot of these second roles, mid-rangers that we're picking are going to rely on attacking stats, hence why you look at the draw. That's purely it. And if we think Dylan Brown's going to fire, we're, taking Lane hoping they're going to reignite their spark of 2022 and happy days.
I think it's just a bit concerning that Kelman Tuolangi started on the weekend and played that left edge spot, so maybe there's a minute share there.
If he does, and that did get named, then you've got guys to go to Firma. I prefer to.
Firma? True.
There's options. If you don't have a Morgan Smith, you should go down to Morgan Smith. There's a lot more that are popping up at these predicted team lists. Like I didn't think Smith is going to be option. And
you're worried he's not playing 80 minutes though, right?
Just 80 minutes. Just 80 minutes. Yeah.
But yeah, because that warrants it. Because I guess if you're picking Tupanua and you're worried he might not play 80 minutes, I don't think I want to take too many that I don't think are. So it's a key point to make. But I am at this stage going to hope that he's going to play 80 minutes. And if on that team lineup I don't think he is, then I could look to antipod him. But I don't think I will at the high ownership.
All right, so we're heading over to Instagram to answer some of your questions. I'm obviously not going to answer them all because we've already covered quite a lot of it. But Jacob Chamis on Instagram, the SC Experience on Instagram, do you think it's a must-have both Cleary and Hines, Timmy?
No, I don't think it's a must-have both. I think it's a must-have Nico, though.
Just quickly, do any of us have both of them?
I don't.
No,
So
Cleary's
that answers
been
that
in and
question.
out of my side. So World Club Challenge on the weekend, he was in my side at the start of it. At the end of it, like I was pretty happy with his SuperCoach output, but I think having two guys at that price, they're both not going to warrant the price early on. Like regardless of how good they go. I just don't think you can start with two players at that price.
Both could.
Yeah.
You could.
I looked at my side without both halves, and I thought there was better.
Yeah.
It looked better to start with because honestly, it's not like of course you're going to own Cleary or both these guys at some point. But realistically, when you're picking your starting side, you want this starting side to score as much as you potentially can. So that's kind of why I don't think it's a must-have at all. Like if you got two Panther supporters here not starting with Cleary, it just kind of shows how serious we are in a sense because don't get me wrong, it's one of the first times I've done it. I don't think I've ever done it.
Me too.
Apart from injury.
I've always started with Cleary.
But we both of us have never won it, so that's why I'm warranted to take risks at round one because I need to try and start. I want to start hot.
I think starting good as well as having cash generate, cash generation is key. And the cheapies haven't landed our way as of yet. We won't know until next week. But if you're going all these bottom dollar cheapies who have question marks around them, and you're missing out on a couple of mid rangers who could make 300k, then that's egg on your face, and you're going to be scrambling and sideways trading.
I like that egg on your face and scrambling. That's,
I didn't even mean that.
Didn't even mean that.
Back on Instagram, Hammer versus RTS can only have one switch back and forth about 50 times from Noides Pairing on Instagram. We obviously didn't do a trial wrap, but I've massively backflipped on RTS because he looks so good.
Oh, so you weren't in the camp and now you are.
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
so I like him. Yeah.
Oh, he was on my radar before this trial with how good he played in the first one, and I was like, if I get another good performance, which we saw it, I was like, nah, 530k. The more you think of it, you go, I think centre will suit him fine, and he's underpriced. I think he's underpriced for what he can do, but the main thing was how the Warriors looked. Yeah. And the Warriors forward pack looked awesome, and I think the backs and the halves will play off the back of it. And I really like Webster as a coach. So if I think all those things, then I think it's a no-brainer. I just thought to myself, I go, if I don't start without RTS, I'm going to be bringing him in. I know I will be.
I definitely think the Hammer could outscore RTS, but I just like.
But 70K price difference.
Yeah, I like RTS.
And I did have Hammer before I put RTS in, and after seeing it, it just kind of reminded me that he's got those low scores in him. But the Dolphins do have a very nice starting draw, but he has a round 2 bye, which is important to note. I think 2 or 3.
Yep.
He's on the bye.
Oh, I think RTS definitely, especially considering he's 70K cheaper.
I reckon Hammer's going to score lots of tries though. Just
I think so too.
He's got that speed, just close to the line. I can just give it to him, just go whoop, throw him around. Yeah.
Or Herbie might hog the ball.
Yeah, true. But with RTS, the reason I went to him is because I had Karaz, and Karaz
I did the exact same.
With the back injury. I'm not doing it again. Last year he played through injury, and he's just too tough for his own good. Sign of an injury with him. He's probably playing through something that's way worse than it is. So with someone like him, happy to downgrade to someone like RTS who looks fit as fuck. And also with RTS, I've been kind of arguing the point that his best year at fullback, he only averaged 71. I had someone on YouTube message me or comment on one of my team reveal videos saying, why do you think he'll average less when he's in a better team with more opportunity?
Excellent point.
Excellent point. Mm-hmm. I should have got his name up because it was such a good point and just it reassured what I was feeling.
The price is right.
The eye test, you can never go past the eye test. I think you can't look so far into stats. The eye test is always the number one factor.
It was just him coming back from NRL. That's a lot of the people, like SuperCoach's thoughts was, is he going to just come back and be the RTS that we knew? And from looking at the trials, I think the answer to that question is yes.
All right, I think that's enough questions on the Instagram. So we'll put over a post on the Instagram every week, and then head over to there, follow us on Instagram. I think it went up on Facebook as well. Maybe we'll answer them in the comments or a separate video. But we do have one more thing. Bold predictions is back this year. Last year we actually scrapped it later in the year because it just got ridiculous. We're just throwing out bold predictions with no repercussions. But we've restructured it this year, and we're going to be held accountable. So we're going to
structure it on the car ride.
Yeah,
Jake and I will make sure we do it on ours too, so then we can, the 4 of us, be
in the
accountable.
Sunday wrap up. You can change it if team lists don't go your way, because obviously you won't have the team list in front of you. But we're going to keep a tally every year. You can do 3 max per week, so it doesn't get ridiculous. And I think what we'll do,
how's the scoring system work though?
You get just 1 point per bold prediction. If your bold prediction is like really bold, you get 1 bonus point. You can get 1 bonus point.
Do you get like lose points for getting it wrong? Because if you said you can have 3,
no,
is there any benefit just picking 1?
You just got to get a point.
No, you get a score out of 3 every week. So say you only got 1 out of 3. You get 1 out of 3 every week. And then say end of the season, after 30 weeks, you've only got 1 per week. So that's 30 out of, 10 weeks. You've only got 1 each week, so that's 30 out of 100.
Well, realistically, this is going to be a split round, which means we get bold predictions twice for round 1, because obviously we can only do what we can see. But maybe, Sabs, instead of announcing him on the wrap-up, me and Jake might just message him to you to announce when you announce yours.
We will.
I think that'd probably be better.
Yeah, that works well. So you like to take a while to think about it, so I'll go with Mikey
I haven't
first.
even thought about it, but I'm good at just
let's do 3 bold predictions for the weekend.
For this weekend. All right. I'm going to def ride Tommy Turbo. We're going to say Tommy Turbo under 75, which I think is pretty safe, but for his potential, we're going to go this Sammy Walker to surprise and go 85 plus, just because I'm a potential owner. And do you want to put this down? So Tom under 75. We're going to have Sam Walker over 85. And I'm going to go Jackson Paulo, because I've been on his train this whole year. He's going to score a double. So I think nothing crazy for me, and I don't want to do anything crazy for the first one.
All right. Well, since I've been so high on the Teddy Turbo Teddy Latrell combo, I think I'm going to go them both
to outscore the other 2?
80.
That's
a good one.
Outscore Walsh and Tom.
To outscore Walsh and Tom.
Up to you. It's your bold prediction, but I thought that's where you were going.
I was going to say 80 plus.
Up to you.
For both of them. I'll do 80 plus for both of them, for Teddy and Latrell. And I'll also go Terrell May to come off the bench and score above 60.
Yeah, I guess to warrant. Yeah. Damn, I should have said something about Spencer Lena to outscore Terrell May. That should have been one of mine. All right, you're up, bro. Come on, you got this.
I feel like I was going to go a bit
Just
weird.
think it on the spot, bro. Just go whatever comes into your head first. That's what I do.
I'm going to go a little bit against my theory of the NRL wanting it to be real opened up.
No one scoring over 80.
No one tons up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That could almost get... I feel like out of all of them, there should be at least one the most bold. That's pretty bold.
I
think that could warrant a bonus point if he gets it.
Okay.
Yep.
I also want to say that there will be the first try scorer will do the touchdown, the slam the ball down. And I'm going to go with...
Well, he's going for triple bonus.
I want either Ola Kawatu. It's either going to be Ola Kawatu or Kalamotungi. They've got the personalities, I think, to sort of maybe... I thought of Reece Walsh, but I don't think he's going to score a try. If Reece Walsh scores, he'll do that, a backflip, and he'll do the biggest showboating of all time, like from Family Guy, where he makes a song and dance, shaboopy, shaboopy. Yeah. So that's two. There'll be the tun touchdown, and we want to...
Yeah, so what's
one
your
of those
third?
three
Yeah.
players.
Yeah.
Okay, and our third one... I fucking don't know.
Just go a normal one, bro.
It's hard because I've said no one's going to score a ton, so it's hard to sort of then go...
Yeah, you could go someone to score under.
Okay, yeah. Let me go... Fuck, I don't have one. I'm just...
Throw one out, bro. Roll the dice.
Okay. Oh, other game. There's another game. Yeah. Roosters. Oh, punch on in the Roosters. Not a punch
We're
on.
a SuperCoach show. You've done no super... Oh, you've done one.
The first one was...
Yeah.
It's Vegas, baby. Let me have some fun.
Punch on?
Like a punch on, or at least a real melee.
Are you even talking
wrestle.
just like a jersey?
Nah, it's got to be a real...
Does someone have to get sin bin for it to be classified as a melee?
Yeah,
Because,
okay,
a bit of push and shove.
So that will warrant a bonus point.
Yeah.
So basically all of his are bonus points. Almost.
Yeah, so if you get any of yours, you'll get a bonus point. None of ours are risky
No,
enough.
but I feel like I don't want to do that first round. I'm happy
Well,
just to ease in.
the thing is, if you keep going for the glory play and don't get them, by the end of the year, you're going to look like an idiot with none from 100.
The fight thing could be on, though, because I think that's another part we might want to... Do we want to promote that, though? Or is that...
Big hits they want to promote. So,
yeah.
So you know...
But maybe like...
But they might take it to heart, the other team running the ball from the defenders.
You cop someone in the wrong position and someone goes down with a concussion, then you've got a bit of biff on your hands.
All right, I think that'll do us for today. It's been a long episode. It actually hasn't. It's only been an hour. But it feels like we've covered a lot for two teams. For two teams. We'll definitely be back with... we got to dissect every single team today. I don't know if we'll be able to do that next week, but we'll try our best. We'll be back tomorrow for the NRL show. Mikey, Jake, are you back this week?
No, so we're having, because I'm on the podcast, we're having a week off. So if you haven't checked that out, we'll be now transitioning to the wrap-up podcast. And obviously, because I'm going to be at the casino for the
Sunday,
SuperCoach
it'll
party,
be Monday.
we're going to plan for Monday. So that's the plan. Yeah, I think I'm away for work next week, so I won't be able to make this one, I don't think. But
so what
Monday wrap-up.
So what I'll do is we'll have something else SuperCoach-wise on Thursday, and I think there's last time I looked, there was 30 comments on the Facebook post, so maybe a Q&A and maybe something else.
If you do a Q&A from home, I might even be able to help jump on and answer some questions with you.
We can do that then on Thursday night or something. All right. Cheers for tuning in. Good luck with your footy. Good luck with your sides. Obviously, everything's not locked in this week, so... It doesn't feel like it's...
It doesn't feel like massive good luck. Good luck for the first round.
It feels like good luck, but...
Half good luck?
Yeah. Hopefully we see most of you on Sunday. We definitely won't see most of you because we get
more
listeners.
But if we do see you as fans, come up and say hi to us. Please do. I know that these guys are going to be on the panel, but I'm going to be in and around the crowd, so come say hi.
I don't want to be sitting up on the panel the whole time.
No, but I'm just saying I'll be in and around the crowd for the whole time, so come and say hi, please.
Yeah,
Let's talk
for
some
sure.
SuperCoach.
We love talking SuperCoach. We love an event where everyone's just a SuperCoach fan. Especially, hopefully the screen's good.
Free drinks too, so a bit of a perk.
Is it free alcohol?
Yeah, well, it didn't really specify, did it?
And
is that for everyone, but or is it just for the panel?
No,
I think the Star's paying for it, so I think
that's crazy.
I think they're paying for the event.
Well, it's only 500
I'm not drinking. I'm not going to drink. I'm going to drive.
Maybe there could be
more for us.
I'll have a couple of free drinks.
All right, cheers guys for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow, Thursday, and next week.